be quite honest with you, and it's no disrespect to the former vice president. I never got a hold on what she was. I really didn't. I couldn't figure it out. I'm just being honest. You know, I think that her heart was in the right place. I think she really cared for the American people. But I think that, and what I was feeling on the ground and what I was feeling myself, is nobody was really sure as what she stood for and who she was as a person. Where I think that with the other two ladies, that was clearer. And I don't know why that was with Kamala. I really don't. Because she was exuding this joyfulness, this when we fight, we win kind of spirit, but yet something wasn't clicking. And I don't know what that was. There was something missing and I couldn't figure it out. And I usually can figure people out, you know, and I was just like, this isn't good. This isn't good. So I hope whoever is going to be our next candidate is clear.
The Kamalalites, they are pissed off as hell at Rosie Perez right now. They're running at Rosie Perez with Ginsu knives.
So that's what Rosie had to say, honey, and she is currently being dragged, and people are accusing her of being a Frumpy Dump supporter, and maybe she voted for Frumpy Dump because she decrees in the class that she didn't really know who Kamala Harris was. And it's very interesting that she would say this, considering that she campaigned for Kamala Harris.
Coming over the hill like, I don't know, man, something out of Z Nation.
Rosie, she voted for Trump. You can't get me to not believe it. You have to show me. Not her even telling and saying, no, I voted for Kamala. Ain't no way. Now you wondering why we're in the shit that we in and why people are afraid to speak their mind.
These mofos is gunning, man. Rosie, get security. They coming for Rosie and something fierce, man, because the last thing they wanted to hear is the truth. Yeah, man, I know Kamala's people's up there pissed off. That's what we doing now. We telling truth now. That's what we doing. We telling the truth. Yeah, we telling the truth. What did Rosie Perez say that was wrong? First of all, it's just her opinion. We got people arguing about people's opinion like that could be her opinion. She's like, I don't know what she stood for. Yeah. Yeah, that's Rosie's opinion. You know what I'm saying? But you know, you can't have an opinion that's different than the establishment opinion, even though the establishment opinion is pretty similar to Rosie Perez. I mean, basically, it's what America said. What is Kamala doing? What is Kamala doing? And what does she stand for? No one knew. No one knew what Kamala stood for because Kamala didn't stand for anything. She's like Hillary Clinton. She's like water. What's that claim of Bruce Lee? I think Bruce Lee's quote is, be like water, pour it in a vessel, when it fills the vessel or something, you'll be whatever you pour it into. That's sort of like what Kamala and Hillary Clinton were. Had the same politics. To this day, no one can really say what they stood for except, you want to see a woman win? The difference with Kamala is, they say you want to see a person of color win? A woman that's a person of color? That's it. It wasn't until the very late stages of her campaign did she start actually really talking about shit that she intended to do. By that time, I believe most of the country had made their mind up about her and had already decided they was going to pass. Yeah, that's how that works. You got to come out pretty early and define yourself. And it's not like Kamala Harris didn't have a whole lot of money to define herself. Do you realize she burned through like $2 billion? And we got people still going, I really don't know what she stood for. And instead of you faulting her campaign and her, because she had the ability to hire, and fire whoever the hell she wanted to hire and fire. Instead of you blaming Kamala Harris because she didn't have crystal clear clarity about what she really stood for, you want to go at somebody like Rosie Perez. This is one of the reasons why the Democratic Party is so horrible. Not only do they give you insufficient candidates, but they make it your fault you don't want to support the insufficient candidates. Now, you can say Biden should have dropped out. I know I said it. I said it in 2019. Biden needed to drop out of that race. So, there's no credit extended for me being right, of course, because I got the wrong type of politics otherwise. I could be right about an issue, but if I'm not right for the reasons they want me to be right, then they don't want to hear it. So yeah, you can make the claim that Joe Biden should have dropped out the race. He never should have geared up like he was going to run for office. But this is what I'll give you for that. Even when you blame that Kamala Harris supporter and Kamala Harris, even when you blame Joe Biden for not dropping out earlier or for announcing that he was going to run when he shouldn't have, if it wasn't for Joe staying in as long as he did, basically giving almost no option but to hand it off to you, you never would have been the nominee from the Democratic Party. Yeah, you never would have ran. And actually, I think that would have been better for you. Because it's one thing to go down in history as the vice president, the first person of color vice president, female vice president. It's another thing to also have to add that up with the footnote that you got destroyed by Donald Trump. Yeah. Who is Hitler, Satan, Mussolini, Idi Amin, and all other horrible things, all put into one. Thought he was a Democrat 10 years earlier. It's crazy. So yeah, fam, the problem we have is that we are not allowed to have our own opinions. Rosie Perez just citing her opinion, and I happen to agree with the majority of it. Rosie Perez went on to say that Kamala Harris, something about her just didn't click. Well, what didn't click is that she was a vice president. No one knew what she did. And I'm not saying vice presidents ever, other than Dick Cheney, that vice presidents ever really shine. They don't. They're window dressing. I mean, sometimes I have to dial it up for a second. Let my brain load to even remember Mike Pence was vice president. I mean, Al Gore was also forgettable. Right? Tim Walz, we remember him very well for all the bad things that he was a running mate as vice president. Just imagine if she would have won. Jesus Christ. So, yeah, she didn't click. It didn't click with her because there was nothing to click. It was an empty UI. The user interface was empty. You're clicking and there's nothing. It's frozen. So I don't disagree with her about those 2 points, but there is one point I do disagree with Rosie Perez, and I will come at her about this, and that is that Kamala Harris meant well. I don't think she did. Nah. I think she meant well for herself. See, a person having ambition doesn't mean they mean well for us. That means they mean well for themselves. But see, she's not trying to open up a pizza shop or an eatery, right? Or a coffee house, or even start a new age movie theater or some shit. She's trying to be a president of the United States. And she never really seemed to me like she gave that much of a damn. What was the passion? Why? Because she had a couple celebrities come out and shake their ass? That ain't enough, fam. It's not enough. Where was in fact, I'm giving you more heat right now in this commentary, this political commentary, than she gave in her whole damn election. I'm giving you more soul. I'm giving you more immediacy, more urgency, more passion in this off the top of the head oratory, whatever this is. I'm giving you more substance in this than she gave in her whole damn campaign. What was it about? What was she about? What'd she make you feel? The woman is an empty vessel. She's an airhead. That's how she came across. She was a scatterbrain. And if I had to hear one more time about her mother's, the mother or her friend that was a friend of the family who owned a business that lived downstairs and all this shit, backstory, tired platitudes, soaring rhetoric about nothing, boring long stories about her mom and about people we don't know, will never meet, that we should not give a damn about. She went on and on about these things. And she sucked all the oxygen out of the room. In fact, her word salad was epic. Epic, long on green leafy lettuce, no protein. Not even chickpeas in that mofo. No beans, no legumes, none of them. Just arugula, iceberg, kale. Not even the benefit of some carrot sprigs. Nothing. And you really, all you got is some hatred for Rosie Perez for saying it. Fam, it is what it is. We don't have to relitigate the entire 2024, but if you don't do an actual autopsy of it, you're just going to repeat it. The only saving grace for the Democratic Party going forth into 2028 is that they don't have to run against Donald Trump again, because I think he'd win again and again and again, because they have nobody. There is no one in the Democratic side, on the Democratic Party side, that has any of the same amount of pull, electricity from their own base. It's not existent. Kamala doesn't have it. She didn't have it. She still doesn't have it. And that's okay. Let me end you with this. It's okay not to win. Kamala Harris became Attorney General. What was she? Of California, right? She was a senator. She was a vice president. Why is that? Why can't that be enough? You know? Why can't that be enough for Willie Brown's side piece? Why can't that be enough for Montel Jordan's jump off? Montel Williams. Why come that can't be enough for Montel Williams' jump off? Why can't it be enough? I'm just saying. Why does she then qualify that she should be the president of the United States? Look, I'm not saying, I know it's not fair Trump became president, but see, he won his primary 3 times, and no one wanted him to win the first one. Every resource imaginable from the Republican Party that they could muster was pulled and put together to try to stop Trump, and they just couldn't. That tells you a lot about the difference in the parties. Republican Party wasn't strong enough to stop them from electing Trump as their nominee, no matter how much the party hated him. And it's the opposite with the Democrats. No matter how much people had a lukewarm feeling about Kamala, they still forced her down our throats. No matter how much we didn't want her, they forced her upon us. One of these parties is not Democratic at all. And you know, that's horrible, fam, when you consider the other party is the Republican Party. Damn. That takes some doing. Rosie Perez isn't wrong. You may disagree with her, but she ain't wrong. Become a member of this show. Go to jointimberlake.com.